Let's talk about the least common multiple, and we've already talked about the greatest common factor, but this is the least common multiple. Okay, so the difference in a factor and a multiple. A factor is what goes into something, and a multiple is what something goes into. That was a little bit wordy, but let's just start with an example. I'm going to use some of the same examples we did in the previous set of notes, if you watched that video. So 15 and 20. So we actually started with that example. And so we're going to do the same thing. The greatest common factor is 5. 5 goes into this, 5 goes into that. There's no decimals, we're good. The least common multiple is not what goes in, what goes in. It's this goes into what, and this goes into what. We'll go ahead and tell you this is leading us to adding and subtracting fractions, which you've done before. But for some individuals, that's kind of a struggle because there's so many different little moving parts in that. And this is one of them. So let's just go ahead and do our thing. 15 is 3 times 5, and we're not surprised at that. Both of those are prime. 20 is 10 times 2. 10 is 2 times 5. There we go. And so here's where things get a little bit different. With the least common multiple, we'll start out the same way we did before. So let's just say least common multiple. I used to teach this a different way and it seemed a little confusing, so I'm finding this to be the best way. Let's go ahead and do the GCF. Now, I know this is not the GCF, but we're going to start that way. And we start that way so we don't duplicate things. So 3, nope, no 3s. 5, yeah, there's 5. Okay, so not 5. Okay, so 5. Now, that actually is the GCF. So just this, you don't have to write this, but this part right here is the greatest common factor. But we're not done. Now that we've canceled out or marked out every pair, now we're still going to list whatever else we have. So let me explain. We still have a 3. Ooh, wrong color. So we still have a 3, so 5 times 3 times 2 times 2. And we put all of them. So we list everything else. So here we go. 5 times 3 is 15, times 2 is 30, times 2 is 60. All right, so let's think about this. The greatest common factor is often smaller than both numbers. The least common multiple is often bigger, which is, it sounds a little backwards, but this is pretty big compared to those. But it is the smallest thing that a 15 will go into and a 20 will go into. So let me write it a different way. If I did 60 divided by 15, I'd get 4, not a decimal. If I did 20 divided by 15, I'm sorry. If I did 60 divided by 20, sorry, that divided by that, then I'd get 3, also not a decimal. So we're good. We don't have decimals on either one of them, so we're fine. That is the least. That's the smallest thing. There are bigger numbers. For example, 120. 120 divided by 15? Well, that's 8. 120 divided by 20? That's 6. It's a multiple, but it's not the smallest one. So let me walk you through the process one more time, and then we'll do a handful of other examples. So what we need to do first is find the GCF, and then list the rest of them, multiply it all together. So let's do another one. Let's do 12 and 18. And we have done this example before, but when we did the GCF. So I'm going to erase that. So 12, 18, and I'm going to skip all the steps where we factor into this and this and this. 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. Everything is prime. So, you know, it's like 4 times 3, and then that's 2 times 2. We got it. 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. Okay, everything is prime, and I didn't go through all the steps. So now let's find the least common multiple. Again, this is leading us to adding and subtracting fractions, and that'll be a least common denominator, but whatever, same process. And hopefully we get to the point that we can just look at it and say, oh, this goes into that. This is kind of building that number sense. So let's start finding pairs and marking them out. So 2 and 2. Oh, okay, there you go. 2. 3 and 3. Oh, they're gone. 2 and 3, no, I can't put them down as if it was a GCF. So this is not my final answer. But if I said, hey, what's the greatest common factor? Then it would be that. But it's not. All right, here goes. I still have a 2. I still have a 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. So what this means is that 12 goes into 36. And if I was to say 36 divided by 12, I'd get a number that's not a decimal. And then if I do 36 divided by 18, I get a number that's not a decimal. All right, let's go through a handful more, and you probably got it. Let's go. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because the process gets pretty easy at this point. And let's do 175. And again, we have done these exact same numbers with the greatest common factor. So I'm just going to jump straight to here. 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. And this is 3 times 5 times 5. And we're good. There we go. So here goes. Let's find the least common multiple. I suggest you pause the video and try it on your own. But I'm going to keep going. 2, nope, no 2s. 2, nope. 5, yes. 5, yes. 5 times 5, awesome. And that's it for the GCF. Excuse me, that's rude. 2 times 2 times 3. Everything that's left over. And so we're left with, this is big, 25 times 2 is 50, times 2 is 100, 100 times 3 is 300. So sometimes your least common multiple is pretty big. All right, a couple more. And then we'll call it a lesson and we'll be like, hey, we're done. 210, 49. All right, 49, we know what that is. That's 7 times 7. 210 is 3 times 2. Is it? Yeah, 3 times 2 times 7. I think times 5, am I right? So, yeah, that's 21 times 10. That'd be 210. Awesome. Okay, so now we'll do the same process. If this is getting a little boring, I hope it is actually, because it just becomes this thing where it's like, oh my goodness, I got it. So least common multiple, 3, nope, no 3s. 3, 2, no, 7, 7, done. Okay? 5, no. 3, 2, 5, and another 7. So he's left over. So then we just multiply all that together. 21 times 2, this is going to be difficult in my head, but I'm going to go for it. Let's actually do it this way, this will be easier. That's 10 times 3 is 30 times 21, that'd be 630. There we go. I hope that's right. Let me double check. 49 times, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Yeah, 49. Sorry, I'm trying to do this without a calculator. 30 and then 7 and 2 and then 1,470. It's pretty big. Sometimes the least is pretty big. The next one is not actually. The next one's going to be pretty small. I'm looking through my work and I'm making sure I'm right. Yeah, that's right. 1470. Okay, let's do the last one. Last one's going to be the number 2 and the number 7. And I want to know the least common multiple among 2 and 7. So 2 and 7. Now you could be like, well, 2 factors into, no. I mean, you could do 1 times 2, but where does that get you? So we done. And 7 factors into, no, we done. We're done. And so the least common multiple is, let's see, my greatest common factor is, okay. If I don't have a greatest common factor that's showing, the answer is 1, because it's like 1 times 2 and 1 times 7. The least common multiple is 2 and the 7, so it's 14. So sometimes your least common multiple is what you get when you multiply them together. And that's actually the case in this particular situation. There we go.